Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a fascinating look at a truly timeless piece of work by the legendary business philosopher Napoleon Hill. This was written right in the absolute depths of the Great Depression, but it completely proves that certain principles of human achievement just don't age. We're going to unpack his classic framework on how to sell your way through life, and I promise you, its relevance to our daily lives today is just uncanny.
Let me start by asking you a very direct question. Are you a salesperson? If your immediate instinct is to say, no way, I'm an engineer, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a manager, I want you to just hold that thought. I really want to challenge your preconceived notions of what sales actually means here. Just take a second to reconsider your daily interactions, literally from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep.
Okay, let's dive into this, because here is the reality. No matter who you are or what you do, you are a salesperson. Whether you realize it or not, every single time you speak to someone, share an opinion, or try to explain an idea, you are actively selling your most powerful, most valuable asset. And that asset is you.
We're anchoring this explainer in Napoleon Hill's foundational text, How to Sell Your Way Through Life. What makes this material so incredibly valuable is how it takes the success principles of a masterful business philosopher and distills them down into highly actionable tools. It takes this abstract idea of achievement and grounds it in something intensely practical, your ability to make the sale, absolutely regardless of what your day job actually is.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We are going to unpack this sprawling philosophy into a clean, modern framework, covering 5 areas. First, why everyone is a salesperson. Second, the power of promotion. Third, cultivating a pleasing personality. Fourth, the golden rule strategy. And finally, mastering your own destiny.
Section 1. Everyone is a salesperson. You are selling your most powerful asset, you.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean. To really get this, we have to completely expand our definition of selling. We aren't just talking about marketing commodities or software here, we're talking about human connection and influence. Just look at these diverse examples. A politician must sell their way into office, right? And then keep themselves sold to their constituents. A salaried worker has to sell themselves into a job and use salesmanship to keep it. A borrower has to sell the banker on giving them a loan. Even a clergyman has to sell his sermons to his followers. Literally any form of effort where you persuade another person to cooperate with you, that is salesmanship.
The fundamental narrative here is that life is just one long, unbroken chain of sales endeavors. Every single interaction you have is a negotiation of some kind. All the schooling, the degrees, the brilliant intellects in the world, they're ultimately useless if you lack the ability to attract the cooperative efforts of others. Being able to influence people without irritating them, that is perhaps the absolute most profitable art known to mankind.
Moving to Section 2, the power of promotion. Why talent without promotion is dead.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it attacks that passive mindset. The one that says, hard work and talent are enough, the world will eventually just beat a path to my door. This material argues fiercely against that. Talent without promotion is basically dead. Notice this sharp contrast. On one side, we have Thomas Edison. The guy had less than 3 months of formal schooling, yet he became the world's greatest inventor. Why? Because he had this rare, masterful ability to promote himself. But on the other side, Hill talks about meeting this brilliant, highly educated musical composer, a literal genius. But he rigidly refused to commercialize his art because he thought the starving artist vibe was somehow noble. And because of that warped view, he risked going through his entire life as an unknown genius, which is just a profound tragedy.
You really don't have to look far to see this dynamic in action. Famous figures rarely just sit around waiting to be discovered. Arthur Brisbane was just an average newspaperman until William Randolph Hearst deliberately promoted his name on the front pages, basically making him America's leading columnist. Will Rogers and Eddie Cantor were incredibly talented, sure, but it was Florence Seagold who actively promoted them into massive fame and huge fortunes. They didn't just hope for the best, they intelligently engineered their rise to the top by aligning with master promoters.
And when you truly understand how to market your personal services, the results can be staggering. We're talking about vast fortunes and a real rhythm of opulence built by people who master the art of the sale. This visual is a great reminder that spiritual and economic freedom are the direct results of effectively promoting the value you bring to the world.
But, and this is a massive but, your promotion absolutely must be genuine. Self-advancement cannot be built on bluff, fear, or flattery. Fine platitudes and cheap, honeyed words are never ever going to replace a practical plan that you just doggedly put into action. Think about it. If you rely on cheap flattery, the people you win over just aren't going to stay won. Real promotion requires much sterner stuff.
Section 3. A pleasing personality. The toolkit for friction-free negotiation.
So the crucial point is, if you shouldn't use bluff or flattery, what do you use? Well, you use this toolkit for friction-free negotiation. In fact, the great industrialist Andrew Carnegie actually rated a pleasing personality above pure brains when it came to success. The source material lists 21 different traits, but we've pulled out the absolute most impactful ones for you here. It's about good showmanship, really appealing to people's imaginations. It's having harmony and control within your own mind. It's the appropriateness of your clothing, because let's face it, first impressions are lasting. It's fundamental unselfishness. And it's personal magnetism, that controlled energy that acts as the major asset of literally every great leader.
And underpinning all of these personality traits is a very specific number, 9. According to Hill, there are exactly 9 basic human motives. You can think of them as the 9 doors and windows to the human mind. Every single move, every act, and every thought of every human being is influenced by one or more of these basic motives.
When you learn what these motives actually are, things like the desire for financial gain or the desire for self-preservation, you can start influencing people through a genuine appeal to their natural drivers. Notice that not a single one of those 9 doors is labeled flattery. Mastering these motives reduces friction, ends misunderstandings, and actually helps you create genuine, lasting relationships.
Section 4. The Golden Rule Strategy, the ultimate secret of the master salesman.
Now we're elevating things to the grand overarching philosophy of this explainer. This strategy is the ultimate secret of the master salesman, and it is the only principle through which you can find and retain real peace of mind and prosperity. But let's define the golden rule here, because Hill has a very specific, business-oriented version of it. It's not just a nice moral platitude. He defines it as rendering more service and better service than that for which one is paid. It's a highly practical law of compensation. It's like an Aladdin's lamp that never fails, if you actually translate it into deeds rather than just words.
Let's move to and see how this builds out in the real world with some legendary business titans. Look at E.M. Statler. The guy built the most successful hotel empire in the world simply by rendering better service than his guests were asked to pay for. Charles M. Schwab inspired massive cooperation just by maintaining a constructive mental attitude that literally infected everyone around him. And the Rockefellers? They devoted decades to giving away millions of dollars for the greatest good, and yet, through this law of compensation, the universe returned billions to their estate. They quite literally banked on the golden rule as their ultimate strategy.
The massive takeaway here is that those high-pressure, aggressive tactics, they are completely obsolete. The traditional go-getter must make room for the go-giver. The successful leader of the future is going to succeed based entirely on how much service they can provide to others. When you live by this rule, you create this irresistible mental attitude that just naturally attracts opportunities, ideas, and allies to you.
Which brings us to Section 5, Mastering Your Own Destiny, the climax of salesmanship.
Because ultimately, the goal of understanding all these psychological principles, all these motives, and the golden rule, it isn't just to sell a product. It's to give yourself spiritual and economic freedom. Just consider this quote. The master salesman is master of others because he is master of himself. Life is a series of ever-shifting circumstances. No 2 days are alike. No 2 people are alike. And to adapt to those changes without friction requires absolute, unwavering self-control. True prosperity, peace of mind, and the ability to persuade, they all begin from within. You cannot influence the world until you have mastered your own mind.
So, we've seen that you are always selling. We know you must actively promote your value, that a pleasing personality unlocks doors, and that the golden rule is the absolute ultimate strategy for success. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to take into your very next interaction. You possess the most powerful asset imaginable. What are you going to sell the world today?